Introducing pickliano. Functional, practical, edible. Okay, so here we have a 24 key pickliano. It's got 24 dill slices as keys, which you can use as inputs, as MIDI inputs. So we've got 24 keys. They're hooked up with alligator clips to capacitive touch sensors. So whenever we touch them, we can detect if the capacitance has changed, and we use that as an input. Up here we have some dials. Right here, this slider right here changes the velocity, which is essentially the volume, because these keys are just on or off. Up here we have octave changes. And additionally, because a 24 key piano is pretty small, we also can transpose by one note. So you can change what scale you're in. So pickliano runs on an Arduino Uno, and it works as a MIDI controller. However, we found out after starting this that Arduino Unos don't actually support MIDI outputs as a normal device. So instead what we do is we use the MIDI library and an additional software, which is a MIDI serial bridge. So any outputs that are sent via serial output can be converted into MIDI outputs. However, this still doesn't give us an actual MIDI device to output because we can't create a MIDI device alone with the Arduino Uno. So we use another software called Loop MIDI, which creates virtual MIDI devices. Once we have that, we can create virtual devices that we can send virtual MIDI messages through, which can be used in synthesizers such as this one right here, which can act as a piano. As far as the code, we have some software that's used to control the MIDI. We've imported this library here. We also need this library, the MPR121, which handles the capacitive touch sensors. We've got a couple different sliders and buttons that we use to control either octaves or volume. And then we've got some code here that addresses, because we have two different MPRs, so we need to address those individually. Inside of there, we have an event loop, and that event loop is constantly checking for different inputs from the MIDI device and converting those into MIDI outputs.
Don't squish the pickles, Curtis.
They're falling apart. Wait, I got pickle juice on the button.
So dumb.